So this is the November 21st meeting of the Mira Mesa Community Planning Group. Right. Somebody who's making noise. I'm going to mute everyone, and when you need to say something, you can unmute yourself, okay? So strangely, I can mute people, but I cannot unmute them. So when I do a global mute like that, everyone should realize you're, it's not that I don't like you, I just need to, you just need to unmute yourself when you need to say something. All right, we'll start with non-agenda public comment. Anyone who has a non-agenda public comment, please raise your hand. Becky Rapp. Go ahead, unmute yourself and you speak.
Yes. Hello. Good evening. My name is Becky Rapp, and I'm a parent and a San Diego resident. And I am here tonight to raise my concerns with you regarding the changes to the municipal code surrounding the marijuana ordinance. So Kent, I'm glad you're on tonight. The original ordinance was written with the intent and promise to community members that safeguards would be put in place and enforced, protecting our youth mostly from the normalization and commercialization of drug use. So unfortunately, through the years, the code has been somewhat watered down and or interpreted to mean something other than what it originally had intended. Our promise was that 4 outlets would be allowed in each council district, limiting the opportunity for saturation of these types of businesses in our communities. This week, that all changed. Actually, this last week, that all changed as the council voted to change the cap, allowing for more pot shops in certain districts due to redistricting. In the same meeting, the city attorney's office suggested in a memorandum to council member Kate that the council could change the municipal code to change marijuana outlet regulations, including increasing the outlet cap or modifying types of limitations, which are our sensitive use limitations. I just wanted to say that the city attorney, I believe, should be recommending what is best for residents. And I have yet to meet any residents in our communities who support an oversaturation of pot shops and encourage them to locate near and around schools, parks, residential communities, and churches. So I bring this to your attention in hopes that the planning group would possibly take some action in contacting the city, encouraging them to uphold the original code, protecting these minor-oriented facilities, including parks, schools, and churches. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Becky. Is there any other? Let's see, I thought I saw one here. Yes, Christina, Patricia.
Hey, yes. So I'm a resident in Mira Mesa near the Miramar College area. I would like to bring into the attention the incident that happened earlier this month where a 74-year-old man taking a morning walk on Capricorn and Polaris was struck by a pickup truck, got dragged under, and passed away. It is a very tragic accident to happen in neighborhood streets, which really should be a safe space for people to take walks and to exercise. Now, for each fatal incident, do consider how many near misses there potentially are. Inattentive road users and pedestrians will always exist, but we can proactively prevent incidents by implementing better design. Common road designs as it is now often put a lot of weight on increasing car throughput at the expense of actual people's safety. This includes wide straight roads that make speeding more comfortable than it really should be, sweeping curbs that allow cars to not actually stop before proceeding through an intersection. I'd argue that sweeping curbs is especially bad because it encourages drivers to partially enter the intersection where they end up stop along the curve instead of the stop line. And this is a position that will exactly make pedestrians trying to cross be blocked by the cars, pillars, and whatnot, to make Mira Mesa an improved community where people can exercise safely in the neighborhood, walk to parks, walk to stores, and enjoy all the various amenities that Mira Mesa has to offer as a community I think this community needs to move away from focusing on car-centric road design and make it more welcoming for people to use the roads differently. Sadly, alternatives to these car-centric designs are often waved off by traffic engineers who will claim that the status quo is up to the code or up to the standards. But really, we need to question if the standards serve our people and give a necessary pushback to improve the community. I'm sure we can all agree that we want a community that is safer and more tight-knit, but to achieve that, we must mold our surroundings to be more conducive to community building. And it simply cannot be achieved if people are just stuck in their individual four-wheeled parcels. Improving people's safety should be a top priority for our community plan moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Pedestrian safety is something that is a priority of the community plan update. I'll ask Alex to comment on that particular one when he has his report. Okay, Alexander Wyatt had his hand up, but it's not up anymore, so I think we'll proceed on. All right, I have no modifications to the agenda. We need to adopt previous meeting minutes. We'll take roll at the same time. So Kent, can you call the roll?
Sure thing. So I'm present, approve the minutes. Andrew?
Approve.
Lilith is absent. Ian is absent. Craig?
Approve.
Ralph? Carolyn? Okay. John LeBaugh?
Approved.
Joe Frickel?
Approve.
Barry Vaz?
Approve.
Jeff Stevens?
Approve.
Dorothy Lorenz?
Approve.
Keith Flitner?
I guess he's
Julia Schreiber?
She was here a moment ago. Julia, can you speak?
She may be muted on her phone. We can come back to Julia. Harkishan
He is not here.
here. Marvin Miles.
No, Marv,
Justin Mendelbaum's not here. Mike Linton.
Approved.
So
and-
Marvin's here.
Oh.
Marv, you want to speak?
Approved.
And Philip Linson. Do we see Philip here?
I don't see him.
Did you say Mike Linton again? Approved.
Oh no, we got you, Mike.
Okay,
It was
great.
Philip
All right.
Linson.
All right.
And then Julia. I don't know if you can hear us, Julia, but it sounds like we cannot hear you.
You know, she called in on a phone and she may not know how to unmute her phone. So
I don't recall either. It might be star
star
six.
6, I think.
I'll shoot her a text message, Jeff, just to check, and then
Okay.
we'll go from there.
All right.
Looks like it is unanimously approved by those who are present and voting.
I counted 10 without Julia, so we're good on a quorum. So we'll proceed. Report of the chair. I've got a bunch of things. First of all, congratulations again to Kent on his election to city council. And thanks for taking the minutes for us tonight. So this is your last study of the planning group or first as city councilman? I'm not sure.
Last of the planning group.
All right, so the Land Use and Housing Committee approved the community plan update with no changes. There was a separate request for the planning department to review the concerns of commercial property owners who want to continue operating under the current zoning and think the mixed use designation could prevent that. So I was very disappointed in this. City Council is just not taking our concerns about the plan seriously. They're buying the excuse that maybe we won't have as much development as allowed, so we only need to plan parks for a fraction of it. Same for schools. And traffic congestion just is not even a consideration anymore. So I am quite concerned about this. I don't know that there's much we can do about it. Chris Kate made the motion to approve it. It goes to City Council next on December 5th. And it's hard for me to see them not just doing the same thing. Chris is, and he mentioned this at the meeting, trying to get Carroll Canyon Road started and to get a development agreement for Stone Creek that can keep the fees in this community. But of course, these are not going to happen while he's in office, so he's not going to have any influence once he's gone. So Kent, that'll be up to you in 2 weeks. We have a vacancy to fill. I'll put up a notice, and obviously this is for Kent's seat, since he can't be on the planning group after this. Elections are in March. We can either fill that vacancy at the next meeting or two, or we can just leave it open until March. In January, we'll need to form an election committee to identify candidates. We have 6 people, including myself, reaching their 8-year limit. So under the current bylaws, candidates must have attended 2 out of the last 12 meetings prior to February to be eligible. Members can only continue after 8 years if 2 things happen. 1, no new qualified candidate is available, and they get a 2/3 or better vote. So the city has approved a whole bunch of changes in the way that planning groups operate. Their message to me was, well, don't worry about that. Use your go by your bylaws. But they also said they were giving us some guidance in early next year. So it wouldn't, a couple of things that are in that are, it eliminates the requirement for people to have attended meetings, any meetings, in order to be a candidate for planning group. And they're much stricter about the 8-year limit. So it wouldn't surprise me if they change those things early next year, but we'll just have to wait and see what the city says. So as of now, the guidance is to follow our own bylaws. One more thing, the next meeting is Thursday, January 19th. January and February, we always meet Thursday instead of Monday because the Monday is a holiday. I will be way out of town for that one. I'll be on my way to Antarctica, so
Wow.
I will not be chairing that meeting. Craig will be doing that. Barry Vaz said she can handle the Zoom part. And that should be an interesting meeting. There is one relatively controversial item on it. There's a big industrial development right next to Water Ridge where they're putting 2 10-story parking lots and 4 10 to 12-story buildings in. That's being handled as a process too, so they don't actually need our approval, but it will be here for our review in January. Going on to mail. Notice, first of all, the city council hearing on the community plan update, December 5th at 2 p.m. Anyone who wants to say anything about the community plan, that's the last opportunity to do it. The El Cuervo del Sur SCR was approved. That was one that the Penasquitos Canyon Citizens Advisory Committee had some problems with. So, so we didn't actually take an action on it one way or another, but the city has approved it. Received the 3rd review and cycle issues of 9350 and 9360 Kearney Mesa Road lot split. That's just south of Miramar Road. It separates the Comfort Inn from the Carl's Jr. into separate lots. I'm not sure why they want to do that, but that's their proposal. Received the plans for the Lazy Dog restaurant. I put those out on the website and sent people the address for it. So that will be on the agenda tonight. Received a NORA for a 1-year license agreement for the Equestrian Center on Black Mountain Road at the east end of Penasquitos Canyon. A NORA for landscaping at libraries throughout the city. A NORA for as-needed tree maintenance services for streets right-of-way. A NORA for right of entry permit for the San Diego Canyon lands activities. and approval of the lot split at 10394 Pacific Center Court. And Nora, for that, we approved that earlier this year. All right, we will go on to community plan update. Alex.
Good evening, everyone. Alex Ross, Senior Planner, Project Manager for the Mira Mesa Community Plan Update. Starting with the Capricorn Way, the tragic accident. The Community Plan Update does identify Capricorn Way as a neighborhood pedestrian district and enhanced features to improve safety, comfort, visibility, accessibility for pedestrians, including but not limited to curb extensions, signal phasing, pavement marking treatments, upgraded traffic signal, and lane modifications at crossings and intersections. So it is identified, but that's a long-term, long-range plan. I did get information from Transportation Department that they are analyzing or evaluating the intersections to improve visibility. So there's more immediate action being taken. In regards to community plan update, as Jeff mentioned, Land Use and Housing Committee made a recommendation to approve the proposed community plan update and associated action. Planning Commission on November 3rd also made recommendation to approve a Mira Mesa community plan update. It was unanimous. And Historic Resources Board met October 27th, and they made their recommendation as well. It was unanimous related to the historic preservation chapter and a historic context statement and cultural resources study. And Park and Recreation Board made a recommendation to approve 16-0-1, but to incorporate the recommendation provided by the community planning group. So that was a Park and Rec Board recommendation. City Council meeting on December 5th for the next hearing.
What time is that, by the way?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Thanks.
So Alex, I'm still very concerned that we're way below the city standards for parks in the plan. I know the city made the excuse that, well, maybe we won't have so much development, but even if none of the mixed use areas are built, it's still down by 1,000 points, and it gradually increases up to that 3,000 points if they're all built. Does the plan at least include some language that the city should identify additional recreation facilities to bring the community up to the park standard?
Correct. Yes, there's several policies in the draft community plan to look for any opportunities for acquisition of park sites or from any future redevelopment. So that is included in the draft community plan.
All right. Any other questions for Alex? All right.
I have a question. On that city council meeting, I mean, on the 5th of December, is it going to be accessible via online Zoom meeting, or do you have to attend in person?
It's a hybrid meeting format, so you can attend via Zoom or you can attend in person.
Oh, good, thanks.
And I know there's a lot of concern related to implementation and funding mechanisms. So just wanted to update that as part of the next phase of Build Better SD, the citywide development impact fee structure framework. They are developing, the planning department and asset management departments are kind of developing the flow chart and the phasing of how that would transpire. it would be a combination of public engagement per council policy, I believe 814 or no 32, and council priorities and priorities from the adopted plans and asset management plans. And that goes to the asset management departments for a needs list, and there will be some ranking process. So the outreach process will be beginning, I believe, early next year, and it will be through the Community Planners Committee. Some more information upcoming.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. Actually, maybe I should give my CPC report now while Alex is still here. We did have a report on the 5-year CIP outlook. I had submitted 3 projects to be included in that. One was the recreation center at 3 Roots Park. The second was development of Canyon Hills Park, and the third was the Carroll Canyon Road extension. The 3 Roots Rec Center and Canyon Hills Park did both get into their 5-year plan. I have no idea how close that is to actually getting it built, but at least it is in their 5-year plan. They did not include Carroll Canyon Road, and gave me a number to call that I haven't called yet for why not. I'm guessing it's because it's being handled through a different process, and we have that on the agenda for tonight also. So Alex, is that the way it's going to be from now on? That just anything we want that's in the community plan, we'll try to get into this CIP outlook?
I believe so.
Now, that's never been very well funded in the past. So, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But, okay, thank you, Alex. All right, we'll go on to the Lazy Dog Restaurant. This is an action item. Jared Taylor.
Yes, good evening. Jared Taylor and Dwayne Mitchell are here on behalf of Lazy Dog Restaurant this evening. Thank you for hearing our new project. We'd be happy to present to you tonight, and we could, if you like, share on the screen some drawings and photos of posing, or I don't know your format.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Great. All right, can everyone see this now? So Lazy Dog Restaurant is proposing the construction of a new full-service sit-down dine-in restaurant in the exact same location as the existing Mimi's restaurant building. So this is a very similar use, very similar square footage, and really the exact same location as the Mimi's building. The Mimi's building has been there, as you probably know, for quite some time, on the corner of Westview Parkway and Mira Mesa Boulevard. This is very common for restaurant buildings. They really have a lifespan, right? It's kind of like the brand has a lifespan and the building. And so what we're proposing is a complete raise of the existing building and construction of a new Lazy Dog Restaurant building in the same location. We are not proposing any work in the public right-of-way or any work in the parking lot. Everything is essentially the building and new landscaping surrounding the building, and just tie-in features to tie the building into the parking lot. So here is just a little bit of a site plan, so you can see the building and location here. And then if I could, I want to share some photos first. Let's see, I think I have to unshare and then reshare to do this. 1 second. Just to give you guys a little bit of information, background on what Lazy Dog Restaurant is, what makes Lazy Dog Restaurant so unique and special. We have multiple locations throughout the country. Lazy Dog Restaurant initially started in Southern California. We do have other San Diego County locations, and we have locations in other states throughout the country now. So Lazy Dog Restaurant is really the opportunity to provide Rocky Mountain dining, which is really inspired by Jackson Hole, Wyoming, in your backyard. without requiring you to go and fly to the Sierra Nevada or the Rocky Mountains or to Banff in Canada to get a Rocky Mountain dining experience. So here is the interior of an existing Lazy Dog restaurant location here in California. The use of real wood and stone inside and out of the restaurant is really paramount to the Lazy Dog restaurant brand. So here's the bar. You can see large stone or wood trellises above, and here's the outdoor patio outside. And I'll just take you through a few photos. You can just kind of see what we're proposing here in Mira Mesa. It's very similar. So this is, really high-end design for a restaurant chain. Lazy Dog restaurants really still spending a lot of money on the real wood, the stone, the finishes, and providing this Rocky Mountain dining experience for you. There's the behind the hostess stand. We call this the Four Seasons room. We have real aspen logs, fireplace. It's cozy, it's warm, it's inviting. The use of warm colors, really promoting people to come as you are, with a very approachable price point as well for the food items. There is a full bar, but this is not a restaurant like a yard house that morphs into a nightclub by any means. This is a family establishment. The full kitchen is open at all times, but the restaurant is open. So here's more of the dining room, a little bit of an outdoor patio with a fire pit. And then here you can see there's a tower that's proposed. These colors are a little bit different than what's proposed in Mira Mesa. And then here you can see just a little bit of a Lazy Dog restaurant building. And then if I could, I just want to share with you some elevations, building elevations that we are proposing here in Mira Mesa. If I can just find these really fast, 1 second. They went away. I'm almost there. Okay, here we go. So this is, again, part of the drawings that were submitted to the Mira Mesa Community Planning Group. So what we're proposing is really four-sided architecture. There's articulation, there's differences in materials and finishes, paint colors surrounding the entire building. This is a building that we absolutely know is going to be visible from all four sides. And we want it to be just gorgeous from all four sides. That's our plan. It's important that we have the tower to really identify what is or where is the entry of the restaurant. We're going to have, as we assume, people really approaching the restaurant from multiple angles, and we want to be able to identify the front door. The landscaping is very important to the Lazy Dog restaurant brand. It absolutely ties into the building architecture. We like to say the experience really starts for the customer when you step off of the curb into the sidewalk and you're immediately immersed in the landscaping that's surrounding the front door. There's a waiting area outside of the front door as well as a waiting area inside of the front door. So I'll walk you through a little bit. So here's the north elevation. Here we have the front door, and then there's two patio doors here. So this is the same stone that you see inside of the restaurant. This here we have real horizontal wood planking. It's real wood, but it's pinned off of stucco behind, so it's not like a waterproof finish. There's articulation throughout the building and the elevations. There's a parapet cap. All of the mechanical equipment is completely screened. We have a very tall parapet. There's wooden canopies sticking out over the windows, lots of glazing here, metal canopies over windows here. This is the front door around the corner here. And then going around the building on the east elevation, you have more wood. You have a large articulated portion, which is painted stucco, parapet cap, wood along here, stone, and a stone wainscot. And then down here on the south elevation, we have to put the garbage somewhere. The trash enclosure is attached to the building. It's covered with a roof and has walls on all four sides. So this isn't like many restaurants of years past where there's a trash enclosure out in the parking lot and the employees have to strew garbage out across the parking lot. It's all kept tidy inside of the restaurant. So here's our trash enclosure doors here. There's more stone, there's more windows, there's more wood, there's more glazing, more stone. And like I said, it's really four-sided architecture is what we're proposing. So, this location to us is fantastic. Mimi's did very well for many, many years. The founder of Mimi's is actually the father of the founder of Lazy Dog.
Hmm.
Sims family. So it's a little ironic. And we're actually tearing down a few Mimis around the country as their leases run out and building Lazy Dogs in their locations. So we're really looking forward to coming to the community. So my name is Jared Taylor. I'm the applicant. I also have Dwayne Mitchell on the line here with us, who's the Vice President of Construction and Design for Lazy Dog Restaurant. And we would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you, and we look forward to your support.
Thank you, Jared. Are there any questions?
Can you give us an idea of the timeline?
Sure. So right now we are into planning review. We're also submitted concurrently at our own risk into building plan check. We've joined the Restaurant Express program through permitting through the city. We're in second round health plan check. So we're really trying to move forward quickly. And I can pull up our schedule here. And Dwayne, if you know it off the top of your head, feel free to jump in on that. I just got to sign into our schedule.
Yeah, hi, good evening. My name is Dwayne Mitchell with Lazy Dog. We are looking at estimated demo start, I believe, around February. We believe this will be a 30 to 60 day demo, pad prep, pad certification with a construction start date of April of next year. And then we'll finish around the end of October, early November is our current schedule that we have right now.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good, that's quick. Other questions?
I had a question. I don't know if you guys have any interest, but we were told at one point that BJ's was coming here. Do you know anything about that, or you like Lazy Dog, or just community has been very, I don't know, interested because what happened to BJ's?
You know, we have limited information on that. We, Lazy Dog, do have an executed lease with the property owner. And obviously this is a prime piece of real estate, and we understand there's definitely some competition that took place. And as I understand it, Lazy Dog won. You know, Lazy Dog is the up and coming restaurant. BJ's has more locations, but Lazy Dog is, you know, they have a better filled out dance card essentially right now. They're more sought after, and they really do a fantastic business.
And you're an employee of Lazy Dog, right?
So Dwayne is an employee of Lazy Dog. I am a consultant.
Okay.
So I noticed there are dog features all around. Are dogs allowed in this or around?
So California Retail Food Code has a provision to allow customers to bring their dogs onto the outdoor restaurant patio. And so this is something that we do in all of our locations throughout California and really throughout the country. And so essentially when a customer brings their dog onto the restaurant patio, they are not allowed to bring it inside. We have a patio gate adjacent to the front door of the restaurant. Here, I can show it to you here. And it's in your plans set. So here's the front door right here. And then here's the patio gate that takes you onto the patio. The hostesses are trained to look for the dogs, to come out and greet the guest outside, take their name if there's a wait. The guest is asked to wait outside, and then they're brought directly into the patio. While the dogs and their owners are on the patio, it's not a doggy daycare. You're still responsible for your own dog. Any biting, bad behavior, and so forth, we will kindly ask guests and their dogs to leave. But this is something we do throughout the country with quite a bit of success. People really like to bring their dogs to the restaurant, to have them on the patio, to see other people's dogs, and so on and so forth. A part of the restaurant menu, there is a doggy menu as well, where you can order chicken and rice for your dog, which will be provided in a single-use disposable container to you, the human, and then you feed your own dog, because you're still responsible for your own dog, as well as to pick up after your own dog. There's a doggy waste station provided with bags for you to clean up after your dog if needed as well.
Do they all have to be lazy?
They can be lazy if they want. The lazier,
Yeah.
the better, because they're hungry dogs too. So we get to sell them a lot of chicken and rice. It's amazing where, you know, at the end of the day, dogs are man's best friends. And people just, you know, they love to go out. People are walking more. People are taking their dogs more. And this is a great place to come and have you know, a drink and appetizers or a full-blown meal. Some people will bring their dogs in, you know, bring a little doggy blanket and let the dogs down the blanket and so forth. But it's just a great opportunity for people to just have another reason to get out and enjoy lunch and dinner.
So how late are you open?
During the week, we're open till 10, I think was our time, Jared, I believe. Sometimes we go 10 or 11 during the week. And then on Friday and Saturdays, we'll do 12 or 1 o'clock. And then on Saturday morning and Sunday mornings, we open at 9 for brunch. And the normal, usually it's 11 in the morning, but on Saturday and Sunday mornings, we'll do 9 for brunch. Really simple, nice. There's probably 10 items for brunch, but incredible menu.
Good. Well, make sure you're open late on Mondays, since when these meetings go long, we can have beer afterwards.
Come on by, let us know, and we'll prepare some meals for you. Try the bacon wrapped buffalo bison. It's incredible.
All right. Are there any other questions? Can I get a motion on this one?
I move we approve.
Motion.
I'll second the motion.
All right, Kent, you call the roll?
This is Kent, I approve. Andrew?
Approve.
Wilf isn't here, Ian's not here. Craig?
Approve.
Ralph isn't here. John LeBaugh?
Approved.
Joe Frichtel?
Approve.
Barry Vaz?
Approve.
Jeff Stevens?
Approved.
Dorothy Lorenz?
Approve.
Julia had to hop off because her signal was really bad. Marvin Miles?
Approve.
And Mike Litton.
Approved.
That
All
is
right.
and approved.
You have our approval, and we will look forward to you coming into Mira Mesa.
We look forward as well. Thank you very much.
We really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. We'll go on to the Carroll Canyon Road Planning Study. Louis Schultz.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hang on a minute here. I'd like to share my screen. All right, hopefully you're seeing the PowerPoint.
I can see it.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. My name is Louis Schultz. I'm a senior engineer with the City of San Diego Engineering Capital Projects Department. I have with me Sean Krause, who is the associate engineer and the project manager for this feasibility study. I'm here to discuss the feasibility study, talk about where we're at with the study and what kind of findings we've come up with so far. I wanted to start out just kind of explain where the process is right now with the project itself. So this is simply a study that was commissioned by our traffic engineering department to analyze the potential of adding a extension to the Carroll Canyon Road. Hang on a second here. At the location past where the developers have done some of their work. So this study will analyze a portion of Carroll Canyon Road that's currently not connected. It will, as part of the study, develop a cost estimate. It'll analyze elements like the alignment, a future alignment for the road. It'll come up with alternatives for that alignment. It will take a look at elements that could impact the project, like drainage, environmental concerns, right-of-way acquisition. That's ultimately the goal, is create this study, find these constraints, and then once the study is completed, look at the alternatives, analyze which alternatives are the preferred version to move forward with, and then that information will be taken by the transportation department, by our planning departments, and it will be analyzed and developed into a project. So just want to lay out that from the beginning is what the expectations are for the study itself. So I have up right now a map of Carroll Canyon Road. There's portions that have been built that are already complete. There's 2 portions that are going to be developed by developments and developers, the Stone Creek project and 3 Roots. Both projects are well underway. The 3 Roots portion of the project will extend close to the portion that the city is going to be responsible for, which is, hopefully you guys can see my cursor right here. The city is going to be responsible for the T5A portion, which will extend all the way to where Carroll Road will connect. So as part of this project, we commissioned Dock Engineering, who has developed the study, has submitted a draft to the city. We've had some review. They've done some corrections, and they're going to submit another draft this month. And the expectation is that that draft will go out to the rest of our client departments and be reviewed. So what I'd like to show you today is just what we have so far and kind of show what's been developed to this point. Go ahead and switch screens here. Part of the study was to develop a cross section for the future street as we move forward. There is already at the intersection or the connection with the 3 Roots portion, a conditioned accepted cross section that we'll be tying into. So what the goal of this project is to tie in that cross section, which 3 Roots is already going to be developing, which is a 131-foot total right-of-way width. It includes 2 lanes of travel in both directions, 2 11-foot lanes, a large bike facility, which will likely become a cycle track type protected bike facility, one way in each direction, and then pedestrian access with 5-foot sidewalks and a parkway. As part of this project, we're also accommodating for a future a bus rapid transit in the center. That was established as part of the 3 Roots project, that it was going to be in the center of the road. And this project has coordinated with MTS and Sandag so that it will accommodate their future plans for the bus rapid transit. So this is the cross section that's currently being analyzed. The project, from a alternatives point of view, came up with 3 alternatives that take a look at the horizontal alignment of the street. What's it going to look like from a satellite view? There came up with 3 different alignments. Those alignments were generally impacted by the fact that we're building this roadway adjacent to Carroll Creek, which is part of a floodway, and that flood event has to be accounted for as part of the road. So much of the alternatives was dictated by how do we cross the Carroll Creek across the roadway and bring it to its outlet point to the west of the project. The project also addressed some flooding that takes place currently on Carroll Road to improve and remove and mitigate for that flooding that occurs today. So let me start with alternative 1. So the first alternative proposed to use a box culvert in order to direct the creek underneath the roadway. In doing that, it keeps the roadway to the north, eliminates some extra horizontal curves, which would be required if we accommodate the flood in the north or the south of the roadway. So you can kind of see here in the light blue where the box culvert is going to be located. This is at this location, Pacific Heights Boulevard. The tan is where there's going to be an existing bus rapid transit going one direction to the west, and then the other direction of bus rapid transit gets picked up further to the east. This is we've now headed further to the east, where Carroll Road will have an intersection with the future Carroll Canyon road. You can see where right now Carroll Road sweeps to the left. The project will tee up Carroll Road with Carroll Canyon, the future Carroll Canyon Road, install a new signalized intersection at that location, pick up the other direction of the bus rapid transit, and then continue to the east. I'm going to flip pages here and we'll get that next view. This is just a continuation. This is the mortuary to the north. This is fairly undeveloped areas to the south. In order to build these alignments, all three alignments require some fairly substantial grading, fairly substantial retaining walls in order to deal with the topography going through this area. This is where the road eventually ties in with the future portion of the three routes, which will build this section over toward Camino Ruiz. So this is the first alternative. The second alternative is very similar. It's using a different version of box culverts. In this case, it's a 3x box culvert, which is a little bit shallower, allowed the road to sit a little lower in elevation, but utilize the same technique of bringing the floodway into the box culvert. From the south, we have to cross the roadway, carry it across the intersection, and then it discharges back out here where the Golf Center is. So this was another version of box culverts to try to deal with that floodway. The alignment for the most part is virtually identical. The third alignment deals with the floodway in a different way. It pushes the floodway up to the north of the Carroll Canyon Road and utilizes an open channel, an open lined channel to carry the floodway and then bring it back underneath via a bridge or a box culvert back to the south. So you can see it running along the north of the proposed road. It changes the alignment a bit because we have to push south in order to push away from the mortuary to the north. The advantage of this is much to do with maintenance, that without a box culvert, it's easier to get access to this facility. There's less chance for debris and things that need to be cleaned out of a box culvert, are much more difficult to clean out. So this was another version. It's after you get past the floodway portion where it crosses, the alignment goes back to a very similar alignment to all the other versions that we've been looking at. The study also looked at stormwater treatment. Because this is a brand new roadway, we'll have to meet the full requirement for stormwater treatment, which means that we need to detain a certain level of storm for hydro modification so we don't damage streams downstream from our project. So this project will incorporate vaults underneath the road to accommodate that storm event. There was a desktop analysis of the geology in this area and the environmental impact of building the roadway, to taking that into account for developing the cost estimates for the work that need to be done. So really, probably one of the most important things that this feasibility study will come up with is the ultimate cost for the project, which will help in programming the project so we can hopefully take it to the next stage of becoming a CIP. All three alternatives ended up very close, right in the $52 to $53 million range. The moving forward, once the study is finished, we anticipate that if we don't get comments that require a lot of rework, that we could probably finish this study up in December coming up. and move the study to the next phase, which would be providing it to the planning department, our sustainability mobility department, our transportation department, facilities financing, so they can use the information that the feasibility study developed and hopefully develop a future CIP project. After that, the next phases would be to enter into the environmental phase, develop that environmental phase, the early planning stages for the project, early design stages, and then enter into the final design and construction after that. So that's my presentation. I wanted to open it up for questions and see if you guys have anything you'd like that I didn't cover.
So what is the lower bound on when we could get this started? I mean, actually, the first dirt being dug.
Yeah, you know, from where I sit, my focus, the only part I'm involved with is the feasibility study. So I don't have a lot of information as to once the feasibility study is completed, how this can be developed into a project. That'll be the next stage. The feasibility study gets us a long ways toward that because now we know, you know, what the constraints are, what the costs are. But from my department standpoint, we just develop the study and then we'll pass it along to the departments that are the asset owners and the planners that will develop, you know, a CIP project and program it so it has funding coming in, and then to decide when the right time is to begin the design phase of the project.
What is the disadvantage of option 3, which is what, an open culvert or an open channel?
So probably the largest disadvantage is that it pushes our alignment to the south. So it results in some larger walls as we push into that geography to the south of the project. It increases some of the horizontal curves as we move that direction. I think from a maintenance standpoint, there are few disadvantages. So I suspect our stormwater department will be very interested in this approach. But I think that generally it's the fact that we can't keep the flood underneath the roadway. So we by pushing it south, it changes to some extent, you know, what that impact is to our roadways geometry.
And the impact of that is to slow drivers?
You know, to some extent, I think we want to be careful with geometry when it comes to a large road like this. We want to keep our sight distances as open as possible. I think it could have some impact on slowing drivers, but this is a fairly large major roadway classification. So generally want to stay within a certain limits of that. I think this still keeps within that limits of our design standards. But I don't think there are any, I don't think any of these alternatives had major drawbacks that would result in them not be analyzed. I think they came in at a similar cost point. I think that a lot of the driving factors will be from a maintenance standpoint. We generally don't see a lot of large culverts running like this for a long distance that are difficult to maintain because they're right underneath the roadway. If you have to clean them or work on them, you have to close lanes to get access to them. So I think that will be something that our operating departments will be interested in taking a look at.
So do you have a favorite alternative then?
I think if we're leaning toward a favorite alternative, at least from the design standpoint, I think the open channel is the favorite alternative right now. The second alternative with the 3 box culverts is turning probably the least favorite alternative at this point, because some of the negatives of the downstream velocities that are created by that particular alternative. So I think that if one alternative was moving toward the top, it seems to be the open channel version.
Just was going to say one thing, because we have a number of us that have painted out graffiti for the last 30 years. And everybody has been around on these wonderful vaults or whatever you have. And it's just an attraction for people are going to be down there tagging with graffiti. And I would hope that we could figure out another way to do this.
And I should say, this is fairly early days. There hasn't been a preferred alternative selected yet. The departments that will be looking at this may have their own methods to take a look and arrive at that alternative. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. When we have an open channel like this, would be a lined open channel. It would be, more available for things like graffiti, more out there.
There was a proposal a few months ago to construct some research laboratories, essentially in the location where the water will be exiting from either this open channel or from one of the culverts. Was that taken into consideration?
I haven't heard anything about a research to where this is exiting right now. If we're talking about the same spot, further to the west of Carroll Road, this is actually a golf center, and they are in for a permit right now. They're expanding into a larger driving range type approach. So I know this is happening down here. I believe that the mortuary was in for a permit, but I don't know of any research facility.
Farther west, it's down almost to 805.
Okay, further down this way, yeah.
805 to Scranton.
I think the golf is going for a brand name called Top Golf. So.
Correct. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are the study that here focused on the probably from Pacific Heights and then to the east from the drainage standpoint. When we're impacting the floodplain, we have to take in consideration if there are impacts to either side of the project in terms of raised surface elevation for the flood. That was analyzed, and there is none on this side of the project area. On the other side of the project, there will be a rise in the surface elevation, but it will be in a undeveloped area. But that will be something that as the project, it'll have to remap some of the floodplain maps as part of what they call a LOMR process through the FEMA agencies.
Why do all the alternatives include?
I missed the last part.
Sorry, two people tried to talk at once. My question is, why do all the alternatives include so many lanes for cars at the expense of the effectiveness of the BRT?
The study was based upon a major roadway classification, which is a 4-lane major.
Whenever there's a left turn, I do not see any reason why the buses will not get stuck and the cars will insist on going first and never yield to the bus, thus slowing down the buses with the current designs.
With the way we have it set up, that actually was a discussion at some of these intersections to give the buses priority at that location. The study doesn't go into the exact timing of some of these signals, but likely as the bus lanes are developed, the signal timing will be modified to give the buses priority so they can get first chance at crossing some of these lanes to get ahead of the cars, especially as they come to intersections where they want to make a maneuver. There's also discussion about different timing when it comes to the buses, because there will eventually be a location over by the 805 that will be a terminal for the buses, but there is the potential that there will be before that happens a terminal up on Pacific Heights Road at the next intersection I can't remember the name of, but that was part of the discussion with MTS and Sandag to develop where to end this bus rapid transit, where it makes sense for their future plans. But I think there will be, as the project's developed and we go into the design phase, an emphasis to give the buses priority so that they aren't trapped behind the cars at intersections when they're trying to make a particular maneuver.
So there's a BRT lane, I mean, the double BRT lane that goes all the way through here, isn't there?
So for our project, the original scope of the project was to stop here at Carroll Road, but we extended the study to include all the way to Pacific Heights for two reasons. One, that we knew there was flooding, there was some substandard conditions of Carroll Road to the west right here, where you kind of see there's a concrete portion that allows some of the flood to come over the road. So we wanted to correct that. Plus we wanted to have a better follow through with the BRT to extend it through the intersection here. I believe when we were talking to Sandag and MTS, there is plans for the BRT to continue all the way through to 805. But the project, the feasibility portion of the project, stopped here at this terminus as a logical place to stop the study itself. But when the actual BRT project comes through, there could be more options.
Okay. Other questions? Could you send me a copy of your presentation?
I sure will.
Thank you. Okay, so we're all anxious to see this. Whatever alignment you like best, I think is probably okay with us. One thing that we were hoping for is that, well, the feds have their big infrastructure program and the state has similar programs, we could get some state or federal money for this. Our concern was this study takes long enough that those opportunities go away. Have any comment on that?
No, I think the study is very close to being finished at this point. The consultant has produced it, has submitted to the city. There's probably going to be a comment period back and forth, but I expect that to be short. I think that having the study available and having this established alignment and an understanding of the cost, I think will go a long ways toward being able to draw funding and be ready for funding when it's available. So I believe that where we're at now, that at least the very first part of next year, we will have the study complete and we'll be programming a project at that point, or at least leading toward a project. So I'm not exactly sure what that process looks like, but I think from the study standpoint that we're very close to being finished.
Okay, any other questions?
I was just gonna say, sorry. Lewis knows that we've been keeping track on this and kind of reminding of the departments of the funding and completing the feasibility. So I know Lewis has put a lot into this and he was excited from the beginning. So they're all really trying to make this happen as soon as possible.
And we appreciate it.
No, for sure. Looking forward to this being a real project.
I have a question that perhaps doesn't exactly fall into the scope of this particular feasibility study. So with the BRT's plan here, I imagine they will go through the 3 routes, but are there any planned connectivity as of now to, say, Mira Mesa Boulevard? Because I think we all know that Mira Mesa Boulevard gets pretty screwed up basically every day. And then with even with and I think it's gotten to the point where, say, adding more lanes was, well, it will not be a solution and was never the solution, because like we can look at, I think, the prime example of University City expanding Genesee Avenue around the I-5, and the traffic was bad before, it was bad during construction, and now it's bad again. So I'm wondering if Mira Mesa Boulevard traffic will ever be alleviated as a part of like a larger rapid transit network instead of relying on everyone driving their personal car alone. Because I think right now, according to the survey done for the community planning, north of 80% of commuters in Mira Mesa drive alone in personal vehicles that are ever growing in size.
You know, I wish I could provide more information on that. You know, Sean was just texting me and reminding me, let me show the map here, that from what we heard from Sandag was there was the potential that the buses would pass. So we're coming along this section here and extending the bus rapid transit to Carroll Canyon and Pacific Heights. They wanted to leave open the option that those buses could turn to the north and that there would be some type of transit station at this location, mobility hub. That's right, at that location. So I don't know if that is going to have an impact on Mira Mesa Boulevard or if that's part of the larger plan, but that's at least some of the discussion that we had for what Sandag was anticipating for the future. And then a final version that would extend the bus rapid transit to the 805. But I don't have a lot of information about what the full scope of their transit projects are.
Thank you.
If you look at the draft community plan, there is actually a lot more information on that. Okay, I guess you should unshare your screen now.
Thanks. Just have to find the right screen here.
I think there's one that says stop sharing. You will find.
I think I opened so many pages here, I lost sight of that one. Let's see here. Stop sharing. There we go.
Okay. For anyone who wants to see the community plan update, let me just get the address on that for you. The city has a website set up for the community plan update. In two separate places, they have a lot of information. I would recommend starting here. This is our own planning group page. This has links to the community plan, the EIR, and anything else you would want to know about that. Okay, thank you very much. We have one more item. Yen Tu is with us. Some of you may remember Yen from you were Councilman Bear's aide, right? A long time ago.
Yes, and Barbara Warden, if you can think back that far. Good evening. Thank you, Jeff, for allowing us to come and give an update on Pure Water Program. Once again, it's nice to see everybody. The last time I attended Mira Mesa meeting was about 27 years ago, I believe. So how time flies. But tonight, in interest of time, I want to quickly introduce you to the presenters. Clem Weisenberg, who is a construction manager, and also Azim Noor, also a construction manager. They will do the presentation. And Sarah Bowles, he's here to help us out. She is our community outreach team. I'm also part of the community outreach team. I've been part of the community outreach team since the demonstration project. And I will let Azim take over.
Good evening, all. I'm Azim Noor, construction manager, one of the two construction managers for this project, North City Pure Water Pipeline and Subaguas. I'm going over some overviews on the pure water in case some of the attendees were not in the previous meetings and So I provide some overview and then hand it over to Clem to go over the updates on the project. Pure Water project includes 2 phases, which at the end of the 2 phase, this will provide half of the water needed for the San Diego. Right now, we have 85% of the water as an imported, but with this project moving forward and being completed, we can provide half of the water for the San Diego kind of locally. Phase 1, which we anticipate to be done by 2025, provides 30 million gallons per day. And this is starting from Marina Pump Station down in Marina Boulevard and sending the wastewater to the North City through the facility that cleans the water and eventually ends up to the Miramar Reservoir and dispersed there. Can we go to the next, please? On the second phase, it's going to start from the central area and will be purified in that area and eventually ends up to the Lake Murray or Lake San Vicente. And in that phase, which we anticipate to be done by 2035, the project will provide 53 million gallons per day of water. Can we go to the next, please? And this is kind of an overview for the first phase of the project. As I mentioned, this project starts down in Marina Boulevard on Sherman Street when it was the Humane Society there. It starts with 2 lines, 48-inch and 30-inch pipeline. 48-inch brings the wastewater from Marina Boulevard through going to the same side streets, gets to Claremont Drive and Genesee tunnels under 52 highway, and gets to the university area, tunnels under I-805, and gets to Eastgate Mall, where the North City Pure Water reclamation plant is. After some purification, it goes kind of to the other side of the street, which is the North City Pure Water facility, and gets more treated, and then the result, which is the purified water, to an 48-inch pipe, goes through Miramar Road, then to Kearney Villa and some side streets under 15, and gets to the Scripps Ranch area, and eventually gets to Miramar Reservoir and dispersed there. On the other hand, there's a sludge coming out of this process from North City Water Reclamation Plant, and some brine from the Pure Water facility. Those are coming, going back to Metropolitan Biosolid Center, and from there they're going back down through the 30-inch pipe down to Marina Pipeline and then Point Loma. So basically, this is kind of an overview of the entire project. Now I hand it over to Clem to go more specific about the North City Pure Water Pipeline project.
Okay, thank you, Azin. Good evening, everyone. My name is Clem Vostenberg. I'm the construction manager for this portion of Pure Water Phase 1. Here you'll see a little bit of a close-up of the alignment of the North City Pure Water Pipeline. The North City Pure Water Pipeline will essentially transfer the water via the pump station through the alignment going from west to east, Eastgate Mall, Miramar Road, Kearney Villa Road, then in the business district there, Candida Street, Via Passar and Via Excelencia. From there, we're tunneling under the I-15. We're coming out on the other side on the private property. And from there, we're following Business Park, Carroll Canyon Road, and Scripps Ranch Boulevard until we turn onto Hoyt and Meanly. And from there, close to Evans Pond, our pipeline is going to be tunneled via an access shaft that has been built on the property of the city's water treatment plant. From there, another tunnel will extend the pipeline into the Miramar Reservoir. And the second part of the North City Pure Water Pipeline is actually the subaqueous portion, which will disperse the water into the reservoir. So like Azin said, the North City Pure Water Pipeline is a 48-inch diameter steel pipe welded steel pipe about 8 miles long. And currently the contractor is working in multiple locations, one on Miramar Road, one on Carroll Canyon and Scripps Ranch, and also the various tunneling locations are ongoing. We started construction in spring of 22, and we anticipate completion about the same time as the other projects in this phase 1 in about 2025. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, here's a little bit more of an overview of the subaqueous pipeline. If you see the green is the tunnel that is exiting into the reservoir here. And from there, the subaqueous pipeline, which is best described as a Christmas tree of HDPE pipe with a thicker trunk and then narrow branches that will be floated on the reservoir and then sunk to the reservoir bottom, and it disperses the water there. Whereas most of the construction of the actual pipeline in the public right-of-way is going to be done at night. The work around the Miramar Lake happens in the daytime, Mondays to Fridays. The downside is while we're installing the pipe, floating it on the reservoir, there will be no boating allowed. However, shore fishing is allowed and the trails will be open for use. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Here's a little bit more in detail for those of you that travel on Miramar Road. You might have seen it in the evenings. Our contractor is currently working just west of Black Mountain Road. He started there, working his way towards Paget Street and Clayton Drive / Mitchner Way to the main gate of the Marine Corps Air Station. This is night work. The contractor starts setting up traffic control at about 7 p.m. We're working until 5 a.m. in the morning. It takes the contractor a little while to set up traffic control, so you will see the equipment moving into the street just before 9 o'clock roughly. While we're doing construction on Miramar Road, it remains two-way traffic with one lane in each direction open. The lights are being set to flash to slow traffic for public and worker safety. And you will see this construction after this first phase is completed. You will see construction move from east to west along Miramar Road. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Again, the contractor has elected to work 4 10-hour shifts. So he's working Monday through Thursday from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. Currently from Miramar Road on his way to Clayton Drive, one lane open. Access to the Miramar Air Station remains. Also, the emergency vehicles will have, of course, the priority. So our contractors have to make sure that they're not blocking any emergency vehicles or impacting them. Driveways to businesses remain open as well. So, but again, when you travel on Miramar overnight, please allow some extra time and drive careful. Construction equipment, the heavy tracked equipment will, wherever possible, be staged on the raised median on Miramar Road. In other locations, it will be staged on side streets. So will most of the material and pipes and stockpiles that the contractor needs for his construction. So as a result of the construction, you will probably notice trench plates on Miramar Road. That is just for those sections where the contractor has just installed the pipe, but then he needs to go back in, weld the joints together, finish up the joints before everything can be backfilled and the roads can be restored. So for a certain period of time, there will be trench plates and also some cold mix and that's temporary, but the road will be bumpy before we go back and trench paves to make sure that the road is smooth again. Can you go to the next slide, please? Here is the other work location that we're currently working in. Contractor has installed the pipe from Carroll Canyon and Business Park up to almost Hoyt. So most of this pipe has been installed. We just have to finish up some utility relocations before we can finish this phase. And then from there, the contractor is gonna move back onto a segment of Business Park that he has to finish up. And also he will continue working up on Hoyt. Again, this is night work, so contractor sets up his traffic control 7 p.m. and he works until 5 a.m. in the morning.
Can I ask a question on that particular section of the road?
Sure. Can you go back?
When are they gonna finish it? I mean, that is the bumpiest, crappiest road I've ever seen. I don't know if it's in the process or waiting to be done, but I come down Scripps Ranch Boulevard and go down Carroll, and I'm telling you, it jars my car. So that's the lane on the right-hand side. So you can tell me they're gonna come back and make it nice, it'd be great.
Yeah, that will happen soon. We have one more water main relocation to do. That is scheduled for the week after Thanksgiving. And when that is done, we're going to start the restoration of the trenches. Here, this segment shows Business Park. So the northern portion of Business Park is one of the next phases where the contractor is going to go after he's done with Carroll Canyon and Scripps Ranch.
Thank you, Ken.
Sure.
So as you can see, there are numerous ways to get information about what's going on with this project, especially the construction part of it. But the most important one is actually the next slide. Sarah, if you can go to the next slide. If you, this is the QR code. If you are interested in being on the list to get notices of construction updates and so forth, please use this QR code to get yourself up on the list. And then I believe both are available to answer any more questions if anybody have any questions.
Yen, it's Marv Miles again. Clem, I have a question in regard to, have you come to an agreement as far as the city with Murphy Development on going across their property to be able to get the pipeline going over to the lake?
That segment of pipe on the Murphy property has been installed already.
And obviously you've come to an agreement on.
I can't speak for that, but I believe the city came to an agreement with Murphy. I wasn't part of that, but since we got the go ahead to install the pipe, I assume that happened.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, thank you so much for allowing us to give you an update. And in the future, if you, as the construction continue, we'll be happy to come back and do more updates.
Hopefully it's not 27 more years.
You get to see me at the Mira Mesa street fair and all kinds of stuff too, Marvin, remember?
It's good seeing you, Yen.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming. It's a good review of, or a good update on Purewater. Go on to elected officials. I don't see anyone here from Congressman Peters or from State Senate or State Assembly. Am I wrong about that? Anyone here from those offices? If not, we will go on. How about County Board of Supervisors? Thought I saw.
And I was going to ask, are you going to be going over to the Scripps Ranch Planning Group? And we have two of them over there, of course. So you're going to make this presentation over there?
We'll be happy to do so. I will check into it.
Okay. Victoria LaPruzzo is our chair over there.
Okay.
All right, Michaela, Mayor's Office.
Good evening. Oh, yay. Can I share my screen just because this week's newsletter was super cool and Gold Coast is on there?
You can.
Okay, cool. One moment. Let's see. Okay, let me just maximize it. So I sent Jeff, I forwarded Jeff our newsletter from the mayor. comes out weekly. And I'll start off with the street preservation ordinance that the mayor introduced to the Active Transportation and Infrastructure Committee last Wednesday. And so what it does is better define the trenching and the responsibility for utility companies after they do their work. So this includes defining major excavation as a trench greater than 6 inches wide and greater than 3 feet in depth. It will require trenching and restoration to be completed within 180 days, and then adjust the street damage fee to ensure that the public is made whole for the total cost of damage and reduce service life. So sometimes you'll see that the trenching that happens either gets abandoned or there aren't enough funds for the city to come back and make it whole. So this street preservation ordinance will address that. A lot of kind of heavy hitters last week. Secretary Pete Buttigieg did go to the new Otay Mesa border, kind of what Jeff was talking about earlier with Carroll Canyon Road. The mayor has been making sure that we use our federal and state relationships to advocate for infrastructure dollars. While we did see the state may be more conservative in the next coming year as they foresee a recession, haven't gotten that announcement yet from the federal government. So that's why it's important that we complete the Carroll Canyon feasibility study as soon as possible so that we can start advocating for more infrastructure dollars to complete projects like that one. The mayor did make his way to Sacramento to talk about homeless funding. The allocation of some funding had been halted. So all mayors across the state met with the governor to talk about their regional plans and how to increase shelter beds and housing programs. Here you'll see the spotlight on Gold Coast Drive, where we joined Councilmember Kate, Councilmember-elect Kent Lee, and as well as Jeff, Joe, and Barry on just prioritizing road repair, especially for Mira Mesa. And so you'll see that highlighted there. We include our homeless updates. Last but not least, I'll scroll down to our Mayor for a Day contest. So last year's Mayor for a Day was from Mira Mesa. Who knows, maybe we'll get another Mira Mesa kid again. But please tell your friends and family as Thanksgiving comes up as well. Any kids K through 12th grade can apply for the Mayor for a Day contest by writing an essay or submitting a video on what they would do if they were mayor for a day. And that deadline is on December 5th. And they can just click this link here and submit it. So you should all get that. There's a way to subscribe in case you want to receive those weekly as well. I think I covered most of it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Michaela. Are there any questions? You know, the Carroll Canyon Road costs, I think the first number we heard out of the feasibility study was $30-some million, and then it went to 40. Now it's 54. Is that just inflation or?
Yeah, the construction costs are really going up and they're going fast. So that's a result of it. The other big thing was, as was mentioned, the stormwater requirements and kind of the flooding that was unexpected in the beginning of the feasibility study. And so that added costs as well.
All right, let's go scarf some of that federal money while we can.
Yeah, will Mira Mesa have a new Congress member? I know you'll have a new state assembly member, so it'll be important to let him know about Carroll Canyon, but.
We do. We have Sarah.
Right, Sarah Jacobs.
Sarah Jacobs, right.
So yeah, in the new year, I just recommend kind of the community leaders get together, just like you did when I joined the board, going over priority projects so that when we reach out to their bosses, they're also aware.
Good idea. We'll do that. I think the mayor may be the only elected official that's sticking with this. Redistricting and term limits. I think all of the others have changed.
one other
Yeah.
continuous one, county supervisor. We still
That's
have
right.
Carroll Lawson Reamer.
Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah, mayor and county supervisor, I think, are the only ones.
And then Joe did grab the mayor's ear before he left to advocate for a Mira Mesa Community Park Phase 2. So he did walk away remembering that.
Good.
So 48 million is funded. The estimate cost is 44 million. So we'll just see where we can make up the difference.
We had a referral through the police department about Joe and the ear thing. So just tell you, it's on record.
My parole officer told me not to say anything.
I'm glad you did, Joe.
Oh, of course, for the park, yes. You never know what Marv's gonna say, though.
Okay, with that, we'll go on to Council District 5. Or 6, I'm sorry.
Hi, good evening, everyone. The city has a new chief operating officer, Eric Dargan, who just started this month, and he came from serving in Houston for over 20 years in the Public Works Department. And we had an eventful groundbreaking for the Salk Neighborhood Park and Joint Use Facility attended by the mayor, Councilmember Kate, and the San Diego Unified School District administrators, along with the school administrators and students at Jonas Salk Elementary School early this month. And then another memorable event last week, Councilmember Kate was joined by Mayor Todd Gloria and Councilmember-elect Kent Lee for the Gold Coast Drive and Parkdale Avenue Reconstruction Press Conference, along with Maine city staff and community leaders. That has been a huge part of this project from the beginning. So this project will be completed by the end of 2023. And then the San Diego City Council voted for a resolution to declare housing a human right on October 31st. Councilmember Kate does not vote on resolutions, so he was not part of that vote, but he supports private property rights. And we look forward to seeing what is in the draft document of this item. And if you have any questions regarding this item, Council President Elo Rivera is spearheading this item. So you can direct your questions to his office representatives, and you can find all information for his office staff on the city website as well. And City Council will be on ledge recess starting this week, and council meeting will resume December 5th. And if you need the link to go attend the online council meeting, I can also post that on my report, so you can access that link. And for one last time, our office, along with sponsors, will be hosting a Toys for Tots event on Saturday, December 10th is the date that we chose, but time has not been picked yet or hasn't been selected yet. So I'll announce that as soon as the e-invitation is ready. And also join us as we thank and celebrate Councilmember Kate for his 8 years of service to the residents of District 6 at AleSmith Brewing Company on December 11th, that's a Sunday, at 11 a.m. And all are welcome to attend. So please share all these events that are in December to the public if you can. And also just like to thank everyone who has welcomed me in the Mira Mesa community. This is my last planning board meeting, and just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays. And it's such a pleasure to serve the Mira Mesa community. So if you have any questions, let me know.
All right, well, thank you very much for all the work you've done for us, Denise.
You deserve a gold star.
So are there any other elected officials here tonight? In that case, we'll go on to announcements. Anyone have any announcements? In that case, so Pam thought she wasn't going to be here since our daughter is on her way here, but she's not here yet. And she had given me her CPC or CAC report. Pam, do you want to give it or do you want me to give it since I have it in front of me?
Oh, I've got it in front of me too, so I might as well give it. And there's actually one last thing that I forgot about in the version I gave you. So I will not read everything that I wrote because that way it can get into the minutes anyway. But the main points that we discussed at our meeting on November 17th were the upcoming bicentennial celebration of the preserve the land grant that is the area that found its way into Penasquitos Canyon Preserve was the first Mexican land grant in the area that now became San Diego County. So Rancho Los Penasquitos was now part of Penasquitos Canyon Preserve. That land grant was made in 1823. So the first house on that site was a small adobe built in 1824. The historic ranch house that we know was built in the 1860s. So, but some of the walls of that initial adobe were still incorporated into it. So the land grant, 1823, 200 years, the ranch house will be the location for a bicentennial celebration on February 11th, 2023, a free family-friendly event. Brendan Schroeder rather, of the San Diego County Parks will be the contact person, and I put his email in the report that I emailed Jeff. San Diego Audubon is going to be giving bird talks, and if anybody wants to get involved with helping put on the celebration, contact Brendan in advance. Otherwise, just go and have fun. It should be a wonderful celebration. Second thing we talked about is some things to do user education in the preserve. Ann Fahey led the discussion covering trail signs, kiosk restorations, and other topics. We are investigating a return to live meetings at the ranch house. We meet every other month, so in January and March, we're still sticking just with the Zoom. But in May, when it's light and a little easier to drive to the ranch house also, as well as from everywhere, we're planning in person, but also hoping to have a hybrid so that anybody who can't make it in person could be connected via either Zoom or Facebook Live. During the Community Planning Board reports, I reported on the Mira Mesa Community Plan update, and Lillian Barnes of San Diego Audubon said that Audubon volunteers might be interested in trying to look at anything that could be done to mitigate some of the environmental impacts of the intensification of housing that's being proposed in that. And last but not least, the California Oak Watch. There is a program that California Native Plant Society has as a statewide program. And again, I have a link for that for people who want to get involved with it. And everyone's welcome to join in. There are 2 focal species of oaks, Nettles, scrub oak, and Engelmann oaks that occur in Los Penasquitos Canyon. And if you see these, we are hoping to observe where sprouts take off and oaks are reseeding themselves. And finally, I'll be contacting my alternate, Craig Radke, to see if he can attend the January meeting, because I will be out of the country for the January meeting. So that's it.
Thank you, Pam.
Pam, are you going to Antarctica also?
Sure am.
It's a nice 2 for.
All
Jeff,
right.
I missed announcements, but do you mind if I chime in here?
Uh-huh.
I just thought I'd take one quick moment. I mean, it's been a pleasure, obviously, serving with all of you on the planning group for just short of 10 years now. I was one of those odd ones that got more than 8, thanks to Barry relinquishing her seat for some time when I first started. But look forward to working with all of you in the new capacity at the city. I've actually sat down with Councilmember Kate just in the last week to discuss some of the biggest priorities. And 2 of the big ones that came up even tonight are Carroll Canyon Road, of course, but also phase 2 and phase 3 of the park, where some of the things that we discussed, just because we know that funding and identifying how the city moves forward on those are pretty significant. So, so look forward to connecting with all of you moving forward, and sort of bittersweet. This is my last planning group meeting in this capacity, but we'll see you at the next one and a new one. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, we'll really look forward to working with you as our city council member, and we will drag you back in here for grilling from time to time. And look forward to that. All right, so our next two meetings are on Thursday. So our meetings are normally the third Monday, but in January and February, they would be Thursday following the third Monday, which matters in February because that's actually the fourth Thursday. So the next two meetings are Thursday, January 19th and Thursday, February 23rd. All right, is there any other business tonight? Okay, hearing none, you're adjourned. Thank you all very much.